What is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we're going to go over 6 extremely high value activities to help get you value between seasons of Kingdom versus Kingdom. Hello my friends and welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about some of the things that I myself will be doing between seasons of Kingdom versus Kingdom. I want to give a quick shout out to a video I made yesterday. Card will be up in the top about World War Dough. It's a game that I've really been enjoying. If you want to play and join my club, link is in the description. Now let's talk about the 6 things that we're going to be focused on between seasons of Kingdom versus Kingdom and how you can best prepare for your next season of KvK. The first thing on the list is to farm Barbarian camps and also Barbarian keeps. Now if I zoom out on the map here, I zoom way out, and we do a filter for Barbarian strongholds, you can see that the Barbarian keeps look like, the little fort symbol that you normally see, and the camps are in yellow. These camps drop very solid loot. All the way at the green tier, leather gloves and Helm of the Phoenix. Very powerful gear that I currently use, and I recommend every player obtain. The gloves are for archer commanders. The helmet I use for leadership, although you can also use it for archers. I've done that as well. The other items here are also very good if you are a higher power player in Rise of Kingdoms. The Gatekeeper's Shield is very solid for infantry specifically, offering 5% of health. And last but not least, one of the most chased items in the game, Silent Trial, is extremely powerful. It reduces the rage of the enemy. 10 a second is really quite strong. However, because it's an accessory, it's a lot of materials. The camps are definitely a good farm, even if you let higher power players get Silent Trial, because you yourself might be so far away from trying to make it. Just getting your Helms of the Phoenix in order and some leather gloves, that is going to put you in a really good position. Now, the keeps are a really good farm for a couple reasons. First and foremost, the keep boss will give you some material chests. 3 blue material chests just for beating them, which is very good. You can do that every 3 days, right? So that's so good, the game limits how often you can get those rewards. In addition, there are some epic and even a legendary piece that drop from the keep guardians, and there is even a special boss that can spawn in. You go and you kill them. You can get an epic chest for battling them if you're lucky. And in addition, they'll drop a bunch of loot chests on the ground as well. Now, if you're a high power player, that equipment is astonishingly good. Delane's Amulet is really good. The legendary I referenced, Pendant of the Eternal Night. This also I expect is going to be very good. And both of these items are getting changed in an upcoming patch to no longer have their downside, which is really quite strong. These guardians or keeps also drop Dark Lord's Blessing. I think this is less important to obtain now that the new item here, Revival Plate and the Revival Set, is in the game. So you can get this. I personally have been working on it to try to put the special talent for cavalry onto it. But overall, I would say that camps and keeps are very important, if for no other reason than to do them every 3 days to get your material chests and to have a chance at the special boss spawning in. You kill them too, and maybe you'll get an epic chest, which is really, like an epic pick 1 chest is really quite good. Even if you don't get any of the loot that drops, and you let high-powered players potentially go and pick that up, because let me tell you, some of the accessories just are an unbelievable amount of materials to obtain. Now, I could talk more about those camps and keeps, but let's move on to the next thing I think you should be doing between rounds of Kingdom versus Kingdom, and that is working on your Canyon team. If I head over to my Sunset Canyon team, this is a good time to try battling tougher teams than yours, see what works, see what doesn't, try new combos, and in particular, work on the equipment that you put onto the primary commanders that you have here. If all of your primary commanders for your Canyon team aren't leveled up, that is a really solid thing to go and do. Now, back on the topic of equipment, I want to segue with that into how you spend your action points and a way you can spend your action points to get better gear. You see, when you're in Kingdom versus Kingdom, you want to be spending your action points on things that get you honor. But when you're in your home kingdom, you could spend your action points on a bunch of other stuff, like, for instance, summoning Dauntless Lohars, or even using Lohar's Longbow to summon regular Lohars to battle down those bosses. Now, why am I recommending that? If I use a Lohar's Buckler, you can see here there's some important loot that drops. I really like the Ranger's Trousers and also the Milanese Plate. I'll show you the stats on both of those, and I'll actually do that by showing you commanders that are actually using them. If I go over here, you can see I'm using Ranger's Trousers on 5 different commanders right now, and I actually could stand to get more pairs. I'm using a pair on Richard I, who is in my Canyon team, and I don't have the special talent on it. This piece of gear is giving you 2% infantry attack, 2% archer defense, and 3% damage to barbarians. I really like this particular piece of gear, and I think everybody should be using some amount of it because it's a lot of stats for a green item. In a similar vein, if we look at the Milanese Plate chest piece, it gives 3% cavalry defense and 2% archer attack. Now, this isn't really relevant for your archer commanders because you're always just going to be using the chainmail. Chainmail does really, really well. However, 3% of cavalry stats is really solid for a green piece of gear. I believe the next best thing you can do is actually the infantry breastplate for 2% cavalry health. However, you can battle enough of these Lohars that you can go and get the special talent on this gear. I keep making this piece of gear and not destroying it and then putting it onto more and more of my commanders. I keep finding uses for it. Even I have it on Charles Martel right now to defend my city. It's a pretty solid piece of gear, especially if you can get that special talent, which is easy to do, summoning lots of these Lohars, especially if everybody in your alliance is doing that. Now let's talk about the next tip, which is to accumulate your resources, accumulate your action points, and one way you can accumulate even more resources is to work on your farm account or accounts. Right now, I've just got one farm account in Kingdom 75. That account, I've powered up to 34 million. It's in a really good place. The resource cost for transferring resources, that tax is really low because my farm has a max level trading post. I mean, that's a little over the top, but this is a great time to work on and power up a farm, even if you just train a lot of troops over time and use your speed ups to train troops on that account so you can send them to die in war. And I mean, who doesn't like losing troops on a farm rather than on their main when they contribute to war? Seems pretty good to me. The 5th tip I want to talk about is actually in that vein of rebuilding your troops. Look, when you're in Kingdom versus Kingdom, you're going to send a lot of troops to die. If you're a T5 player, I highly recommend that between seasons of KvK, you build up your collection of T4 troops. Because the field fighting with T5 is so outrageously expensive, I can't sustain that. And if I can't sustain that with the amount of money and time that I spend playing this game, then I suspect most players will struggle too. So T4, I personally can fight with really as much as I want. Yeah, there's a repair cost, but it's very, very reasonable for the amount of fighting that I'm doing compared to T5. So I personally am going to look to build out 1 to 2 more infantry marches of T4 troops to round out my collection here. I think that, this KvK I used 2 infantry, 2 cavalry, and 1 archer march. I would have much preferred to use 3 to 4 infantry and 1 archer march, or maybe just 1 cavalry march. would most likely have been the pick there. As much as I love my archers, they're just so squishy. Very few of them have enough sustain to make that work. And maybe after I max Ramses, I could do Ramses E-Song, and that would be a different story. Now, the last tip I want to offer you is to simply be patient, if you can, with your legendary commander sculptures, to accumulate them over time. And look, for me in this last KvK, that gamble didn't work out. I have still 1,433 legendary commander sculptures. After I had expertised Attila and Takeda in Season 3, maybe I'm misremembering, but I did not spend a single legendary commander sculpture until I started to work on Guan in the middle of KvK Season 4. And the reason I did that is that we had thought new commanders might come out in the middle of KvK. I wanted to get them and expertise them and then use them for rallies. Your average player isn't going to be doing that, okay? But what I'm suggesting here is that you should consider saving up some amount of your sculptures in case a new commander comes out that you really want. And you could invest in that, you know, what you think that will be now, right? Like my best bet for these commander sculptures, if I was spending them right now, would be to probably expertise Artemisia, expertise Constantine, and use them in my Canyon team. And that would be cool. That would be cool. But by the time KvK comes around, what's best might change. So I've got an overflow of sculptures. I'll be spending them probably sometime this week when new commanders are released. I suspect we'll have new commanders this Monday or Tuesday when the patch lands, which is very exciting. We'll cover that on the channel here. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video with our 6 tips to help you get value and have fun between Kingdom versus Kingdom seasons. It's not a coincidence that a lot of that is oriented around getting better equipment, powering up your commanders, and getting a lot of resources so that you can be ready for the next big fight. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.